You're paying off a mortgage, just not yours. A while back, I added up every rent check I've written since I was 19. It came to $147,000. And you know what I owned after handing over 147 grand? Nothing. Not a wall, not a window, not a doorknob. Here's how I found out. 2 summers ago, my landlord raised my rent $150 a month. No new appliances, same faucet dripping like it's sending Morse code. So I did the pettiest thing I've ever done with a laptop. I looked up what he paid for our building. You can do this too, by the way. County assessor websites are public, and they're the nosiest free entertainment the government offers. He bought our fourplex in 2014 for $210,000, put about $45,000 down, borrowed the rest. And when I stacked our 4 rents against what his loan cost him every month, my stomach dropped. We weren't just covering his payment, we were covering it with room to spare. My rent wasn't rent, it was his loan payment with a tip. I wasn't his tenant, I was his asset. I sat there and kept going on his math, and one number came out the other side that made me physically lean back from the screen. I'll walk you through the whole thing in a few minutes because you can copy what he did. But first, I had to unlearn something because I was raised to believe all debt was poison. Turns out, debt is more like electricity. Wired right, it runs your whole house. Grab the wrong end, and it runs through you. Years ago, somebody left a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad in our laundry room, and I read it on that apartment couch, half rolling my eyes. One idea stuck in me sideways anyway. Rich people buy things that pay them. I just never connected it to debt until the guy cashing my rent checks turned out to be the walking example. Because a loan is just renting money. That's the whole mystery. The only question that matters is whether the thing you rent the money for earns more than the rent on the money. Borrow at 5%, put it into something that pays 9%, and the 4 points in the middle are yours for the price of a signature. That gap is where basically every fortune with a mortgage attached to it comes from. Now flip it. Finance a $31,000 truck at 9% while it loses value every single month, and you're paying rent on money to own something that's shrinking while you hold it. You lose coming and going. I know that truck number is oddly specific. That was mine at 23. I have no idea what I was thinking. Actually, I do. It had heated seats. So now, before I borrow a single dollar, I run 3 questions. Same 3 every time, and I make my friends answer them too whenever they call me about a loan. 1. Does this thing send money to me each month or pull it out of me? 2. Is the rate I'm paying lower than what the thing realistically earns, on paper, not in my daydreams? 3. If everything goes wrong for 6 months, can I still make the payment without selling? 3 yeses or I don't sign. Simple. Except the loans that quietly ruin the most people aren't the obvious ones. Not the 24% credit card. It's the debt everyone in their life swore was the good kind. Student loans got sold to an entire generation as automatic good debt, like the interest came with a halo. But the label isn't printed on the loan. It gets decided by what the loan buys. $104,000 borrowed for a degree that leads to a $43,000 job is bad debt wearing a gown. $28,000 for a nursing degree that walks straight into $86,000 a year? That loan passes my 3 questions before you finish asking them. Then there's the big one, your own house. Buying a home can absolutely be the right move, but see it clearly. Your house doesn't send you a check. It sends you a property tax bill, a roof quote, and a water heater that dies at 2 a.m. It's the most comfortable costume debt ever wears, and calling it an automatic win is how people end up broke in a nice zip code. And now the opinion that's going to fill up my comments. If you locked a mortgage at 3% back in 2021, making extra payments to kill it early is one of the worst money moves that feels responsible. A boring money market fund at Fidelity pays around 4% right now. You're literally being paid to not pay off that loan. And people are sprinting the other direction for a sticker that says debt-free. Ramsey listeners, I can feel the comment section warming up, and I'll be down there, but I'll hand you one thing honestly. Spreadsheets don't get anxiety. If owing money keeps you up at night, or a paid-off house is what finally lets you take a real career risk, the math loses, and that's legitimate. Maybe I'm too relaxed about leverage because it's never bitten me. I've watched it bite. It takes fingers. So if the label isn't printed on the loan, it's printed by the math, which means it's finally time to run my landlords. He buys the fourplex for $210,000, puts $45,000 down, borrows about $165,000 at 4.5%. Rates really were that low back then. All-in payment with taxes and insurance, call it $1,400 a month. The 4 units bring in about $2,600, so after repairs, a vacancy here and there, the occasional dying water heater, he clears roughly $600 a month. From day one, strangers pay his entire loan and hand him lunch money on top. But that's only the visible part. Every payment we made also shrank his loan a little. 10 years of our checks knocked the balance down to about $135,000. He built ownership on autopilot, out of our pockets. And while the loan shrank, the building's price drifted up. Today it's worth around $340,000, assuming his town climbed like most of the country did that decade, which nobody guarantees repeats, not even me. Added up, about $205,000 in equity, plus roughly $60,000 in rent money he pocketed along the way. His $45,000 became about $250,000 in 10 years, and my checks did most of the lifting. One loan, paying him 3 ways at once. Strangers cover the payment. The balance shrinks on schedule. The price floats up with inflation while his debt stays frozen in 2014 dollars. Inflation, the same thing eating your savings account alive, was quietly on his team. Same economy, opposite sides. And I know how this sounds, like every real estate guy on this app. Here's what I didn't get until I'd sat with his numbers for a week. This was never really about property. I used to think avoiding all debt meant I was out of the game. Clean, neutral. There is no neutral. If you rent, you're the income line in somebody's spreadsheet. If your savings sit at a big bank earning 0.4%, that bank lends your money out at 7% and keeps the difference. You're the raw material for someone else's good debt. The game runs whether you play or not. The only real choice you get is which side of the payment you're on. Now, I almost ended this video with, so go buy a fourplex. No, delete that. Chasing this exact story with money you can't afford to lose is how people get wrecked. My landlord could cover that whole mortgage with 0 tenants if he had to. That cushion is why it worked. It's not a footnote. Good debt starts smaller and more boring than YouTube wants it to. It's refusing to ever again finance things that lose value. The 9% truck goes first. It's a $3,000 loan for a tool that books you real paying work. It's a duplex where a tenant covers most of your mortgage while you live in the other half. Tiny versions of the same machine. Borrowed money pointed at something that pays. Because banks don't sell good loans and bad loans. They slide the same signature page across the desk to everyone. What you pointed at decides what it becomes. Last month, I finally moved out of that building. I didn't leave angry, honestly. I left with a down payment saved and his blueprint in my pocket. That rent hike was the most expensive class I never meant to enroll in. And somewhere tonight, another renter's check is clearing in that fourplex. My $147,000 helped build his $250,000. The next $250,000 is being built right now. One payment at a time out of somebody's checking account. Your only job is making sure the money flows toward you, not away from you. So, comment time. Best or worst loan you've ever signed? I'll go first. The truck. Worst by a mile. And yes, the seat stayed warm the whole ride down. And if you want to see how I'm structuring my own first property loan so it passes all 3 questions, that video's next. You already know which button handles that.